Got it. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all. Thank you, Fillmore. I need a motion to approve the minutes from December 15th, 2021, and the special meeting for January 11th, 2022. We can take them one at a time. Motion for December 15th.
So moved.
I have a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you, Cindy. Any corrections, amendments? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Abstentions? Nays? That motion carries. I need a motion for the January 11th, 2022 special meeting.
So moved.
Thank you, Fillmore. Second.
Second.
Cindy? Any discussion or amendments?
It left out the shout out I gave to you, John, about your admirable reticence in speaking, but that's all right. Don't need to add it.
Thank you. No, we don't need to add it, but I did hear about it, Fillmore. Thank you. But we do not need to add it. Any other discussion or amendments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? I'm assuming I should abstain since I wasn't there. So that motion does carry. Chairman's comments. I think I did this. I just want to wish everyone a very happy new year and looking forward to working together. Finance member comments or liaison reports. I know Katie is here. Anybody?
No.
No. Okay. First select woman.
John,
I'm sorry.
sorry. I'm here. I was stuck in Cyberland. I do have a couple brief updates that I would like to give just from my liaison ships. The first one is the Board of Education met last night, as you all know, and approved a 1.66 budget increase. They've been working really hard and did make some reductions, and that's where they voted unanimously last night. And on CIP, we as a committee, and thank you, Justin Murphy, my counterpart on this board, and all of the members of CIP from the various boards and our community members have had more than 7 meetings, meeting with all town departments, including a public hearing. The annual capital budget increase that we voted on yesterday at our working session is 7.79%. It's important before anybody gets sticker shock on that to remember that we have been flat the past 2 years. Approved the American Rescue Plan also should be considered in that as recommended by the first select woman. Thank you, Peggy. And I hope you'll all join me for moral support on Tuesday, January 25th for our public hearing, where we will go over the fine details of the CIP. That's the end of my report.
What time is the public hearing, Katie?
7.
7 p.m. You said that. I got it. I was just taking notes. Fillmore doesn't believe I was taking notes, but I was.
Okay, I'm glad you confirmed, because it could either be 7 or 7:30. I'll be there at 7.
Any other liaison reports? Any questions for Katie? Thank you, Katie. Was that the CIP plan? Did that go through the recommendation unanimously?
Yes, it did.
Okay, I'm not sure if you said that. If you did, I apologize. All right, we have the first select woman here, Peggy Lyons. Your report is next. Hi, Peggy.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I think obviously the big news is, the Board of Selectmen move forward the 3 major projects through referendum for a vote on February 15th. There'll be a special town meeting on February 1st, which essentially will adjourn to a referendum. I want to give my special thanks to this board for coming together quickly on the purchase and sale agreement for Island Avenue, and appreciate you convening quickly and reviewing it and, having the opportunity to weigh in on that before we took it to a vote and then sending it to referendum. So I just want to thank you again for that. We're starting the budget process. We have a workshop tomorrow night, and the Board of Selectmen will start going through the budget. I think we're starting in, I think, a reasonable place this year again, which is good. But obviously some requests that the town is making, we'll need some thoughtful and careful discussion amongst both boards about moving those forward to the public for the final vote in May. And that's kind of my update for now. So just last week, I think, was head spinning for many of us. So we're kind of taking a deep breath. And also we're continuing to work on this, just so you know, you can pass on to the public. The purchase and sale agreement should be up on the website by now. We had all the signed copies back. And we are putting together what's called an explanatory text on the three projects, which is more of a I kind of likened it to a prospectus. So it kind of reads kind of legal like, and it's just focusing on key factual information. Those things I'm hoping to have posted by tomorrow. It may be Monday because the lawyers have to review it, but those will be available for the public next week, and we can share those on the website and have printed out copies at places around town. So there'll be other opportunities for public to give information on the projects in addition to, previous board minutes and board presentations on them. So that's my update.
Thank you, Peggy. Any questions for Peggy? Great. Go ahead, Fillmore.
Yes, just a detail. Tomorrow night's meeting is scheduled from 5 to 9 with a whole bunch of departments. Do we have a schedule yet? I mean, not that it's urgent, but do we have a schedule yet of who's going to be talking when?
So I think Lauren sent around a list, and some of those will go in the order of the list. Some of them will be they're not asking for any increases, and so it should be a quick conversation. Then others, as you'll see, it will be much more lengthy. So, but there is an order in terms of what we'll go through. It's going to be basically all the town staff, and then next week we have the outside organizations to talk to. Okay.
Okay.
Lauren, that was sent around to everybody, correct? In an
Yes,
email?
got it.
Yeah. Okay.
Senior staff, I'm not sure if it went to the boards.
Yeah, I was sent to senior staff and I can send them to the boards right now.
Okay. Okay, great. That'll just show you the order of who's coming. Okay. And
Do you mind if we're eating while all this is going on?
Justin, I hope you're keeping track of this, pal. There's a lot of violations.
I have no issue. I think, unfortunately, we can't do Uber Eats to everybody's house because normally I know we provide dinner for this. But just promise that you stop your video while you're eating. That's all.
That's fair enough. Good point. Thanks for bringing that up, Fillmore. Nice to know ahead of time, what the order is. Any other questions for Peggy? Before I get to citizens' comments, I did have Bruce Wilson approach me. You have the cannabis committee. We need a volunteer from the Board of Finance to join the cannabis committee. So I would like someone to volunteer. Now it's not the time to be shy. Thank you, Fillmore, Katie. Fillmore, I don't think there's any free samples. That's just so you know, just to be fair. But thank you, Fillmore. Katie, you okay? Fillmore does it? All right. Thanks, Fillmore. All right, so we have anybody from the public who'd like to speak? Lauren or Stace?
No one has their hand raised.
Second, third time, there being none. All right, we have discuss and take action to set the annual interest rate for the town tax deferral program. Stacy, could you just give us a brief on that, please?
Sure, you guys have in your packet that every January, the Board of Finance needs to set this mill rate for the upcoming year. So we did provide you with the guidelines of the interest rate that we're currently earning, what our last refunding true interest cost was, as well as where we are right now. So last January, we voted on a 1% to charge for the deferral. So now we just have to decide, do we want to keep it at 1% or do we want to decrease it based on what we know right now? If you need any other information, I did reach out to our bond counsel about yield rates. And I could tell you when we went out for the library, the average yield was about 2.02%. And when we did the refunding last year, it was 0.55%. So times have changed. So, but currently we're at 1%.
So we're at 1%. So the question would be, do we want to lower it, if anything, or leave it the same? I do know rates are going to start to inch back up, and they're talking about some increases this year. My recommendation would be just to leave it, but I'm okay with the discussion. Fillmore?
Yeah, I'll move to keep it at 1%.
So okay, is that a motion? Excuse me, it's a motion by Fillmore to keep it at 1%. Is there a second? Katie? Thank you, Katie. Discussion. No one seeing none. All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Any nays? Abstention? A motion carries. Thank you. We have discussed and take action to approve a light item transfer request from the Public Works Department in the amount of $30,000 pending the Board of Selectmen approval. I'm pretty sure John's on this call. There, thanks, John. John, you want to just give a synopsis?
Yeah, so the equipment repairs account balance is getting very low. So that's the reason for this. It's down to $24,000. The brunt of the expenses have been on the big trucks, the big aging dump trucks, which we have 3 replacements that we're getting this year. We have just had delays on those, just with the supply chain issues, I guess. And because of that, we had the DOT inspections on our existing dump trucks. There's work to be done on those, and we couldn't defer that, not knowing when we're going to be getting the new vehicles, which are in the shop now being built. But I'm promised every week that they're coming next week, and we haven't received them yet. So I need to transfer these funds in order to get us through to July 1st.
Questions? See, now I need a motion to transfer the $30,000 pending the Board of Selectmen approval.
So moved.
So moved.
Katie, Justin, second. Any further discussion? Stacy?
John, can we just say that this, oh, I'm sorry, there's a line transfer. I'm sorry. This is for the next 2 items. Go ahead.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. And
Aye.
opposed, abstentions? The motion carries. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Discuss and take action to approve a special appropriation request from the risk manager in the amount of $9,500 to fund the general insurance line. We get a motion in a second, then we can discuss it. Don't worry, is that a motion?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thanks, Chief. Seconded by Gene. Any discussion?
I think it might be worth, I'm certainly in favor of it, but maybe Lauren could explain exactly what this is for.
You got it, Fillmore. Lauren? Don't worry, Lauren, we understand.
Sorry, my daughter decided at this moment she had to ask me a question.
I understand completely.
So this is actually to cover the increase in our insurance premiums due to the cyber policy. So previously, cyber insurance was part of KERMA's LAP program, but starting last year, KERMA and also the big municipal insurers pulled cyber out of their general offerings on LAP because of all of the increase in ransomware to town municipalities. So last year we were forced to go out and get a standalone policy. So what you see here is just the increase that came along with that standalone policy.
Thanks, Lauren. Helpful. Fillmore?
Yes, I believe we have to pick a place for it to come from. And as I I think I plowed through the financials and we have 71 grand left in contingency. So I would suggest we take it from the contingency fund.
Good point, Fillmore. Any other discussion? Seeing that, all those in favor of taking 9,500 from the for funded general insurance line from the contingency in the amount of 9,500, signify by saying aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Thanks, Gene. Up. Any opposed, abstentions? That motion carries. Item 10, discuss and take action to approve a special appropriation request from the police department amount of $210,000 to fund body worn and in-dash camera upgrades pending Board of Selectmen and town meeting approval. I did talk to Chief Drum. I know this is something we have to do. I also talked to Gene, who's our liaison. A similar thing. I would like the motion in a second, then we can discuss it. So I'd like a motion to thank you, Katie. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Gene. So we have a motion in a second. Discussion. You want to, why don't we hear? Go ahead, Katie.
So my only question is probably for Stacy. I know, and Chief, thank you so much for coming to CIP. So I feel like I have a good sense of where you are with this and understand that it's become a more imminent problem, or not problem, but need than you thought previously for CIP. So given if this passes, what does that mean for CIP going forward?
Gene?
Jack, do you want me to answer
Yes,
that or you
so-
want to go?
Oh, you want to
No,
go,
I-
Stace? Who wants to go?
Go ahead, Stace. Somebody
Me?
go.
Ladies first.
Go ahead.
Go ahead,
I'm not
Jean.
picky. I'm not picky.
So I think the main thing here is that what Jack's asking for is really a compliance issue. So it's not a matter of if we need it. It's not a matter of a want. It's a matter of we have to do it. So I am in favor of doing this to avoid putting this into the budget and increasing the base of the budget. We have the money in that designated fund balance. It's something that we cannot avoid. It's better to do it now. It's got to be done, Jack, you can correct me, by July 1st. So this would be a perfect use of these funds and to get us ready and compliant before the deadline of July 1st. I assume that it would come out of the CIP, Katie, and Jack, you can correct me. But I think that's what would happen if we approve this evening.
That's helpful. I am in total support of it. I was in support of it for CIP as well. My question was just whether or not I have to amend my discussion for Monday or Tuesday rather for the public hearing. So it sounds like it would come out of there.
I think, Gee, I appreciate it. Go ahead, Chief. I think basically, and Stacy has her hand up too. That's the question. Is it going to alter CIP going forward? Go ahead.
If you look at the history, we first started with WatchGuard, which was 5 years ago from this past July 1st. We made an expenditure, a capital expenditure, and then we put and we financed it with the WatchGuard Corporation, which was financing at the time. So we essentially, through CIP, it was X amount of dollars every year to pay down the debt, which was concluded with last year's budget. Like most things we do, we try to extend the life of our equipment. In walks COVID, in walks Motorola buying WatchGuard, which is probably one of the worst things that ever happened. There was a discussion on technology. The technology we had in place no longer was, they would no longer assume liability for that, or they wanted us essentially to invest in all new equipment with them, but they had no data delivery. A lot of their equipment comes from offshore. As we were progressing with this in the spring and into the summer, some of you are aware that we weren't using the cloud, we're using a server base, and we had a failure. We got it up and running again, then we had a catastrophic failure. Currently, right now, I believe the server that we're borrowed is from the Board of Ed. You might recall in a couple of discussions earlier, we talked about trying to mitigate some of the expense by using dollars we had in replacement for the schedule for the cars to purchase, get out quick and buy 5 cameras up front, which we did. In the perfect world, I think that let's assume that the shelf life of this equipment is going to be 5 years, that we probably start placing X amount of dollars for replacement 5 years from now for the next generation. Does that help with this?
And then that kind of answers the question of CIP and what to do going forward. Stacy, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of clarify the mechanics. I don't know all the details like everybody else, but I can tell you as far as CIP and how the budget will look. If we do this special appropriation, it handles the remainder of the purchases that we need to make. And it also covers 1 year of cloud storage. We will have 4 more years of cloud storage that we will need to pay of approximately $60,000 a year. However, Art Sickle has budgeted that in CIP in his technology fund. So Tuesday night will not change, Katie, and we are covered for the next 5 years.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was looking for. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Katie. Justin?
Just to clarify for myself, because I'm on CIP as well. So this was not in CIP. Okay, this was not in CIP originally. So this wasn't even discussed then. This is like a new thing, Chief Drum, I guess, kind of a, not new.
I'm not understanding your
I guess-
question, Justin. Justin, I'm not understanding your question.
Just the
discussed-
timing of this. Go ahead, Katie.
Sorry, you can add that up. But he did come and discuss it with CIP, but my understanding is that your deadline has moved forward for when this is needed by.
Chief, I think the question is this, and Justin's asking, I thought this was discussed before. They want to know if it's going to change CIP, so if it was in CIP. Justin's question is this, was this in CIP before? Correct, Justin?
Yeah, the additional 209, was that in CIP?
Negative, it was not.
Thank you.
Right.
Art, you want to say something?
And that,
Sorry,
and
go
it
ahead.
doesn't need to be because we're, sorry, John, I'll find myself $10.
No, you don't have to. You still have the floor. Go ahead.
The 209, the 209 or the cost to purchase the next generation probably would have been in next year's budget. We're trying to get another year out of it.
Right. Okay.
Like I do with the cars. I try to get as much out of it as I can.
Art, did you want to say something?
I was just going to clarify that, this has been in the technology reserve account. So it's been in there as in the form of prior lease payments, which included hardware and services at that time. And now, due to the legislative changes that have come up, we require an awful lot more equipment than had been planned for. So, there's a lot more body cameras required. And that's the stuff that it's a compliance issue. And I can't really speak to much more about that. The chief certainly has all that down, but there was, a funding request for very close to $60,000 a year. And that was intended to be a level funded kind of a thing. That it's an increase over what we had been doing over the last 5 years, but it's definitely been in there.
Okay, Stacy?
And
Good.
so just to clarify, so the purchase of the remainder of equipment as well as 1 year of cloud storage will be covered out of this special appropriation from fund balance of 210,000. Then for the next 4 years, so years 2 through 5 is already included in Art's technology fund. So CIP will not change, and this special appropriation coming out of fund balance will get us all of the equipment in 1 year of storage.
Thank you, Stacy. I got it. I understand. I appreciate that. Any other discussion? I thought Fillmore was going to say something, but apparently not. So we had a motion and a second. No further discussion. All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? That motion carries. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Art. All right, we have a review of the financials. Fillmore, you got to ask your question. I know Stacy sent us something, but you have to ask your question. So go ahead.
Okay, well, I have a question. I don't know if it's the one that you're anticipating. I was going to ask, maybe Colleen is still there, but that we're still short 27 million on taxes, but that's probably pretty good. I'm assuming that this is as of December 31st, which would mean we're in decent shape, but I would like her comment about how this compares with prior years.
Close enough.
So Fillmore, I don't think Colleen is here. But I think we're ahead of where we were last year. And yes, it is only through December. So January obviously is a big month for our tax collections.
Thank you.
And thanks. Any other questions on the financials? Okay. Thanks, Fillmore. Citizens' comments. Lauren, anybody there?
No one has their hand raised.
Anybody from the public? Once, twice, three times? Public information session is now closed. We are going to be meeting tomorrow night. Fillmore?
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Katie. Second, is there a second?
Again.
Favor say aye. Thanks, everyone.
Aye.
Adjourn at 7:27. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye, everybody.